Hello, everyone. I'm Kathy Rose, and I'm delighted to share with you this topic today, the love connection. What we're going to talk about is how two horoscopes can reach out, touch each other, and create dynamic relationship energy. We're going to explore what holds relationships together and what kind of contact is important. Now, this is a huge topic, and I can only cover so much in the time slot I have. I would love to go deep with psychological analysis of early life and how that's projected into our relationships. But instead, what I'm going to focus on are the simplified techniques that are most important. And I'm going to give you some chart examples. And I'm going to turn off my camera for a while because it interferes with most of the slides. And at certain points, I'll bring it back on. Okay, so let's dive in and get going here. There we go. So if we begin, we have to talk about something very, very important, I think, and that is that relationships offer profound personal growth. There's just no doubt about it. When we engage in relationship energy with other people, we naturally move into interactions that cause us to grow and learn and develop. It is such a breeding ground for our evolution. When we are connecting with other people, there are bonds of love and affection that require courage to stay vulnerable and open our hearts. And that right there is a profound opportunity to grow. When we are connecting with others in relationship, we learn how to give. We also learn how to receive. And we all know how important it is to have giving and receiving in balance. When we engage in relationships, we get the opportunity to have our self-worth develop and grow, and our sense of lovability, because relationships will tend to reflect back to us where we need that type of growth. And in order to have these core connections work, we have to know we deserve love and that we are inherently lovable. And of course, what's most important and along the way is learning conflict resolution, which we could really, really benefit from that right now in the world, right? We learn how to accommodate other people's needs, and we learn important cooperation skills. So this connecting with somebody outside of ourselves offers so much incredible growth and is purposeful in relationship development. Now, there is something I think that is very profound and metaphysical, on the quantum level, and that is this concept that who we attract to us in our life will reflect back to us how we feel about ourselves. Now, isn't that an interesting thought? I mean, probably you've already thought of that and you know that, but it is so profound. Who we attract reflects back to us how we feel about ourselves. And of course, this is really talking about the descendant, the cusp of the seventh house, and the ascendant, the cusp of the first house. The ascendant is our identity and our sense of ourself. The descendant is, of course, other people and engaging outside of ourselves. And the descendant reflects back to us the core sense of self. And what happens is the core sense of self and whatever life purpose issues go along with that, whatever level of self-awareness we have, creates repeating patterns in relationships. And those repeating patterns are incredibly revealing because they show us our core life purpose issues. And if we are aware enough, if we pay attention to these things, then we get to create a stronger sense of self. We get to build our ascendant, our identity, our awareness, and then who we attract changes. So there are a few houses that I specifically look at in the psychodynamic approach of astrology to really help delineate vulnerability, potentially, and lovability or in relationship energy in general. And the first one would be the 11th house. If you look at the 11th house through a psychodynamic perspective, that house tends to reveal vulnerability around our ability to receive love or our sense of being lovable. If you have the ruler of the 11th house under high developmental tension, so that could be the ruler of the 11th house might be retrograde, it might be involved in strong conjunctions, squares, or oppositions. Or if you have planets in the 11th house under high developmental tension, the same sort of conditions, then it can show us that part of the life purpose issue is revolving around learning about being lovable. And I hope you notice how I'm phrasing that, because I don't look at the horoscope and say that if you have the ruler of the 11th or planets in the 11th under high developmental tension, it means you don't feel lovable. I don't look at it that way. I look at it opposite from that. I say it reveals a life purpose issue related to learning about lovability, building that sense of lovability, learning that of course you deserve love, that there is something to resolve. Now, that may be because of your early life. It may be because of conditioning and programming from the parents or how you were treated. It could be a carryover from other lives. It doesn't matter, because it's clearly showing what the soul is trying to resolve. So 11th house issues are incredibly important because, again, it goes back to who we attract reflects how we feel about ourselves. If you don't feel you deserve to receive love, you are not going to attract to you people who can give love. Until you can receive it, you won't attract people who can give it. You will attract takers because that's what you believe. So that 11th house issue is very important. And I definitely pay attention to that when I'm looking at a horoscope. On a psychodynamic level, the second house is also very important because this can show our self-worth profile. And again, it goes back to if the ruler of the second house is in high developmental tension or retrograde, or planets in that second house under those same conditions, it can reveal what we feel we deserve in general, our level of self-worth. And again, what it really is pointing out is that part of the life purpose issue is to build a sense of self-worth. Now, of course, we're all working on that to some extent. We know that. Part of the human condition is building self-worth. But when there is high tension with that second house, it's even stronger. It becomes the central theme of the life purpose. So I really pay attention to this. And what happens when the life purpose theme is an 11th house or second house issue, it is suggesting that the person needs to earn it from the inside out, that they have to generate it from within. It wasn't handed to them in their early life or by their parents, or perhaps it's a wound that's carried over and they need to resolve that wound. The other house that I look at is the 5th house, because the 5th house is our ability to give love. It's the opposite of the 11th house. 11th house is receiving love. 5th house is giving love. And so again, you look for the ruler of the 5th house or planets in the 5th house under high developmental tension to delineate our ability to give love. And of course, we're going to look at the 7th house, suggesting relationship energy in general, and maybe the 8th house suggesting parts of our sexuality. But the 11th, 2nd, and 5th are core and dynamic components of life purpose issues around relationship energy in general.